ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tech Showdown. My name is Kevin, this is my co-host Teddy, and today we have a very special showdown. So it's going to be two 980 Ti's, but we're having one liquid-cooled 980 Ti against an air-cooled 980 Ti, and both of them are going to be from MSI. So on one side, which is going to be slightly awkward to hold up because it's bigger than our usual card, we have the MSI Sea Hawk with its Corsair liquid cooler here, and representing air cooling for MSI is the Gaming 6G 980 Ti. So this will be quite interesting. Liquid GPU, all-in-one liquid cooled GPUs are a relatively new thing as far as graphics cards go. I mean, people have been doing it for a while, water cooling graphics cards, but in terms of all-in-ones, we're seeing them a bit more now than previously. So this will be quite interesting to see how worth it they really are compared to, say, a really good air-cooled card of the exact same model, you know, both 980 Ti's. So let's start first with what you get in a 980 Ti if you're unfamiliar with it. So they're coming with the 28nm GM200-310 Maxwell GPU. It's a slightly nerfed Titan X GPU basically. So that means you're getting 2,816 CUDA cores, which is down from the 3,072 you'd get on a Titan X. Memory wise, you're going to be getting 6GB of GDDR5 memory. Now these are at their stock speeds. However, on the MSI, this Gaming 6G here, if you put it in OC mode, that will go up to 7,100, I believe. And they're both on a 384-bit memory bus, so it's kind of like the Titan memory halved. Of course, the bus width stayed the same. Now, these are coming with their stat speeds, you know, base and boost. However, that doesn't really apply for NVIDIA GPUs because of GPU Boost 2.0, so these cards will automatically overclock if temperatures allow. So the highest overclocks I saw on both of them, and these were running them on their highest presets that they come with. Get the Sea Hawk up here, here we go. So the 6G went up to 1,391 megahertz, which is pretty good. It's just shy of 1,400 megahertz. The Sea Hawk, on the other hand, went up to 1,366 megahertz, so a little bit less on the Sea Hawk. But that doesn't really matter a huge amount, just a little bit of clock speed difference there. Now TDP wise, coming with the same TDP, 250 watts. And size wise, the Sea Hawk's coming in, well, they're both coming in at 40 millimeters tall. They're both coming in at the same length of 270 millimeters long. And width-wise, the Sea Hawk is quite a bit thinner than the quite fat Gaming 6G. Now let's talk about the coolers. So we got the Sea Hawk up here, so we'll talk about that first. So you still see it has a fan down here, kind of like a reference design. That's all pretty standard really. That's just to blow air over the VRMs and keep other components cool, since the liquid cooler itself is just cooling the GPU die. You see that cooler is provided by Corsair, big, thick, braided lines up here, coming to a 120mm radiator with a Corsair fan on the front. Seeing it's quite thin as well. And you would need to plug that the fan in as well. It's just a 3-pin. So yeah, it's a pretty good cooler on this. These all-in-ones are, I mean, they're really good for overclockers. Should get some very, very good temperatures out of a guy like this. I really like it. I think it looks really good. However, it does take up more space, so you really need to think about where and how you're going to mount it in your particular rig. With the 6G, on the other hand, it's a bit more standard. So you're just getting, you know, your standard big twin Frozr V cooler on it. Should be a lot more easy to fit in. Will go in a lot more systems. So that's really good too. They have a nice backplate. Sea Hawk also has a nice backplate too. So that's always nice to see. The twin Frozr V I quite like. It's quite a good cooler. They have the redesigned fan blades and a lot of heat pipes coming out of here, big aluminium heat sinks, and they are quite a solid graphics card, and both these cards have upgraded components as well over the reference, so that should mean they're a bit more reliable, and you should get a bit more overclocking headroom. So now is when we would usually jump into the benchmarks, but there's not much point me showing you the benchmarks because they scored exactly the same in all of the benchmarks. Just for one example, just to show you guys, Shadow of Mordor, 1080p, they both score 134, near enough. At 1440p, it's a similar affair, and at 4K, it's a similar affair, and that was the same through all the benchmarks. They're all scoring very, very high. These cards are absolute beasts. Even at 4K, you're getting around 60 frames per second in a lot of the benchmarks. Maybe just have to drop off one of the filters a little bit, and you'll get a consistent over 60 frames per second experience. But yeah, extremely powerful, really good. But as far as a Showdown goes, they score exactly the same. Which means we're probably going to see a difference elsewhere, and we do, especially in the temperatures. So temps-wise, the Sea Hawk, unsurprisingly, wins by absolutely miles. So, temps-wise, I took this during the Unigine Valley benchmark on the Extreme HD preset, and I took the highest temperature I saw and also the highest fan speed. So, the Sea Hawk 980ti scored 49, or went up to 49 degrees Celsius at 36% fan speed. Compare that to the 6G 980ti, which went up to 74 degrees Celsius at 63% fan speed. So that's quite a bit of difference there. Now these 980Ti's do tend to run quite hot. I mean, the reference model, when I tested that a while back, that was running up to its thermal limit of 84 degrees pretty quickly. So yeah, these are quite a hot running NVIDIA GPU. I mean, it is a 250 watt TDP. So yeah, that's quite impressive to keep it under 50 degrees, and at, you know, idle temperatures, the Sea Hawk was like in the 20s. It was like 28 degrees Celsius. I mean, that's really impressive. I've never seen a GPU go that low previously. So yeah, very, very good there. Extremely good temperatures out of the Sea Hawk. That should give you an absolute heap of overclocking headroom in terms of thermals. So extremely good temperatures coming out of the Sea Hawk, but still the Twin Frozr V cooler does a decent job there. 74 degrees is, you know, nothing bad. That's still very, very solid. Now let's move over to noise then. So the 6G comes with MSI 0 decibel technology, so these fans will turn off when it's below a certain temperature, which means at idle it's completely silent, so it's very, very good there. However, we did see a difference here in noise in favor of the 6G. So for some reason, the minimum fan speed on the Sea Hawk is 33%. Now that's not really that strange, except that it's very, very loud at that 33%. Now, that's the strangest thing with this graphics card. So it is quite loud at idle, but then the noise doesn't really go up once you start gaming. It's sort of very consistent noise, but it is still quite high, and I did notice that. But as always, I'll let you guys judge for yourself. So here is the let's do the 6G first. So this is the 6G at idle. And now here is the Sea Hawk at idle. Now let's move on to on-load. So this was again in the Unigine Valley Extreme HD benchmark. Up first is the 6G 980ti. And now is the Sea Hawk 980ti. So from that you can see that the Sea Hawk is quite consistent. The noise between the idle and the load is pretty much exactly the same. However, that is quite high. I mean, coming in at 61 decibels at idle and on load it's just too high for me. I did prefer the 6G in terms of noise. And you could probably run, if you really, really wanted to, you could probably run some heavy, like, low noise adapters on the radiator to help bring some of the noise down, but I think you'd see quite a big rising in terms of temperatures then. So yeah, noise wise it's hard to say is a winner either way, because it really depends on what you prefer. If you'd like a more consistent noise that never changes, albeit a higher, you know, noise, a louder noise I should say, then the Sea Hawk's then perfect for you because the noise just doesn't change. However, the twin Frozr, the 6G here, does tend to go, it's a bit quieter, but then you obviously have the variance of when you're on load, you'll hear the fans, you know, kick up and that. So yeah, there's a bit of a difference there. Hard to call it either way, but it is one of those interesting things, because I thought the Sea Hawk would be quite a bit quieter than it actually was. Which brings us now to the conclusion. And who do I think wins this benchmark? Is it worth paying the extra money for the Sea Hawk over the twin Frozr? So how I'm going to frame it is this way. If you're not interested in overclocking your GPU at all, and you just want a good solid 980 Ti that's going to do very, very well, and you're just going to put it in your PC, load everything up, and forget about it. That's all you want to do. Then go for the Gaming 6G 980 Ti. This one right here. It'll do you just fine. You can chuck it in, go play, you know, 4040 games, 1440p games maxed out, no worries, and pretty much most 4K games, no worries as well. You might have to play with some of the settings at 4K. Otherwise, it'll just do you really, really good, super solid, great graphics card. However, the Sea Hawk, I would say, is an enthusiast-only option. This is the one that comes to mind if you're really wanting to overclock like crazy, or you're an enthusiast and you just want a fully liquid cooled rig and you're not going to do custom water cooling, so you already got a liquid cooler for your CPU and all in one, and you want one for your GPU as well. Or you're just, as I said, an extreme overclocker where you're wanting to take a 980 Ti to the absolute max, then I would be interested in the Sea Hawk. However, if you're not going to be overclocking, then I don't see any need to be buying this graphics card. Honestly, I would go with another, the 6G as far as 980 Ti's go. This one will be tremendously overkill for you, and you're not really getting any benefit out of getting this graphics card aside from lower temperatures, but that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things because you're not going to be overclocking anyway. So that's how I would round this one out. It's kind of it depends on the user. That's how I would put it. But I was very impressed by both of these graphics cards. So MSI, you did a really good job here, and I am very impressed by both of these graphics cards. Now I thank you all for watching this video. Please subscribe to Tech Showdown if you haven't already, and like the video. And as always, I'll see you guys next time.